Well, it's almost a month till the team starts practice here for the fall season here, and Bulldog assistant coach Joe Skinner, first-year member of the coaching staff here, just got back from a big trip. So give us an idea where you're at the past month.
I was in a city called Elbląg, Poland, with the USA men's sitting volleyball team at the ParaVolley World Championships for the past 2 weeks.
Okay, so the first question for anybody is, what is sitting volleyball?
So sitting volleyball is regular volleyball, except you have to sit on the ground with a lower net, smaller court, and every time you make contact, you have to keep one butt cheek on the ground. And so it's a lot faster. It's actually a little bit more fun to watch because of the speed. With the court being smaller, the net being lower, just the whole pace of play is a lot quicker.
So these are the best players in the U.S. and also the world, obviously, at this sport here. What are the dimensions of the net and as far as the court?
The net, so just like standing volleyball, there are different heights for the men and the women. The men's height is 3.5 feet high, and then you shrink the court. I'm not exactly sure on the dimensions. I know the traditional 10-foot line is the 2-meter line, so that's closer as well.
So probably like 15 to 18 feet long, probably.
Correct.
Or so. So yeah, basically, I mean, it's a similar sport, but also different. So what are the differences if you're a player versus the two?
So the first big difference that everybody notices is that you can block a serve. Because the court is so small and the net is so low, serving is a big strategy, and so therefore they allow you to block the serve, which then also helps because you can guide the server where you want them to go a little bit. Some of the other strategies are, your pace of play, and so the sets are all very fast to the outside. Everyone talks about how being a middle and standing is really hard. It's even harder in sitting because a middle attack isn't completely obsolete, but it's not used as much. It's mostly pin to pin, and it is fast, and you got a lefty on one side and a righty on the other, and they're just going to crank balls at you.
So this is the national team here. What's the experience level of a lot of these players?
At least with the U.S., a lot of them have really never played standing volleyball before. A lot of them received an injury during military action, and so in order to stay athletic and competitive, they've picked up standing volleyball. A few of them had barely played for the past year and a half. Some have been on the team for 10 years, and so obviously you have different skill sets. The women traditionally, a lot of them started with standing and then went over to sitting, but with men, a lot of it was just they picked it up so that they could stay active.
So would you see actually, are these people all kind of have some kind of disability, or some people just basically stay on the floor?
So you have to be classified, meaning that your injury has to be looked at by a classifier, and then there's two kinds of classifications. There's fully disabled, and then there's a minimal. Basically what a minimal means is you had like a torn ACL and then you didn't get it fixed, so like you're completely able. One of the men's players, everything's fine except he was born without a hand, and he was considered a minimal, which that's kind of an argument because you need both hands, but he was considered a minimal. And then the other men's minimal was born with a club foot, which he then had surgery, and he's able to walk fine and do all that kind of stuff. You're only allowed 2 minimals on your roster, and then only 1 minimal can be on the court at one time.
So give us the format for the tournament, like how many days you were there, how many games did you play a day, etc.
So everyone basically arrived on June 11th. We had practice for 3 days in a row, an hour practice just to get everyone acclimated. And then pool play started on Sunday and went to Saturday, so it was 6 days. With the men, there were 16 teams, so there were four pools of 4. We played 1 match a day, and then and it's best 3 out of 5 regular scoring volleyball.
Same score to 25, it sounds like, too.
Yep.
I know the team was ranked, I think, approximately 10th going into the tournament there, as far as 16 teams in the tournament. How did they finish?
The men, we finished 10th. We took 3rd in our pool, which allowed us to get to the quarterfinals, and then we lost to Germany in the quarterfinals. won our next crossover match versus Croatia, and lost in the 9th, 10th place match versus the Netherlands.
So who are the top teams in the world?
Top teams in the world are historically Iran and Bosnia. Brazil in the past couple of years has really stepped up their game. Brazil took second. Bosnia won the whole thing. Brazil beat Iran for the first time in the semifinals.
So you're working with the men's team. How did the women's team do?
The women, so there were 10 teams for the women. They had 2 pools of 5. The women ended up taking second overall. They were second going into it. They lost a really close gold medal match. It was 15-13 in Game 5. Kind of heartbreaking. They were oh so close, and just didn't get the result that they wanted.
So obviously this is kind of a lead up here every 4 years to the Paralympics, right after the Olympics there. So is Rio going to be like an amazing site for this event here in 2 years?
Yeah, everyone talking to the players and the coaches, they're all very excited to be going to Rio. A lot of the women's coaches all were with the team in Beijing when they took silver, and so they're really looking forward to going to Rio and competing for that gold.
So now you have a chance now to come back here to the college ranks here, the women's. Is there anything you can pull from that experience to use for the team here for the Dogs?
Yeah, for sure. Even though the game is played standing, it's also very, very similar. So, for example, standing, you have to be so much more, sitting, you have to be so much more efficient with your movement because the game is so fast. And so if you're playing middle, it's just getting your hips involved in order to get from pin to pin as fast as you can. And then, just the speed of it, if it can be scaled down and made faster, as we make the court bigger and all that stuff, we can make that speed just as fast.
So you're in Poland, but what city were you in exactly? And give us some of the flavor of that community.
We were in Elbląg, Poland. The town size is about 150,000 people. It was where we were specifically was considered Old Town Elbląg, right along the Elbląg River. It was very much an old town feel. Big apartment buildings, lots of restaurants, lots of nightclubs. Not a lot of commercial development. There was a McDonald's about a mile away that, of course we went to, but outside of that, that was the only major commercial business that we saw.
So what was the food like there in Poland?
The food was good. Pierogies and kielbasa is kind of what they're known for. We definitely had those a few times. Part of our trip was eating at the hotel in the venue, and so we had a lot of chicken and pork and rice and potatoes. We came to find out rice and potatoes ever since World War II, and even during World War II, is a big staple in the Polish diet.
Any other fun parts of the trip?
We went to a castle, a medieval castle about 40 minutes outside of town on our last day. That was really cool. It took us about 3 hours to see the whole thing, and then at the end, a bunch of us paid a little bit extra, and we went all the way to the top of the highest tower that you could go in the castle, and we had great views of that. If you're claustrophobic, it was definitely a little narrow getting up and down, but the views were absolutely amazing. We could see the whole town. We could see the whole castle. It was really cool.
So as part of the U.S. coaching staff, talk about some of the swag you got besides the pin we have right there on your collar there.
So the pin, in international competition, before the matches start, you shake hands with the coaches and you exchange a gift. So the U.S. pin was what the coaches we would exchange to the other team, and then we would get a pin from their country. USA Volleyball is sponsored by Mizuno, and so we received all kinds of Mizuno stuff: shoes, socks, shorts, T-shirts, dry fits, jackets, and sweats. And we had to wear that. We had to wear that all the time. During matches at the hotel, if we left the hotel, anytime we were part of USA Volleyball, we had to wear it.
So whose swag or gear was the most sought after as far as trading?
A lot of people came up to the U.S. and asked for USA gear. The Netherlands gear, a lot of people were going after too. I actually received a Netherlands hat. It was also the day that we played Netherlands, and he wanted me to wear it on the bench, but I didn't think that was very appropriate. But I'll definitely wear it for the World Cup. Other than that, there wasn't too much exchanging going on. A couple of players exchanged jerseys with Iraq and Iran. But the coaches, we didn't exchange too much.
Talk about a little bit also now kind of what your next month holds for you as far as recruiting or scouting or whatever else places you're going to be at.
So I'm leaving next week, the first week of July, to go to Minneapolis to go to JOs. I just came back from Orlando after Poland from AAUs. Then after that, that's our last kind of recruiting trip until after the fall gets going. Now it's just preparing for fall and for the preseason.
I know you've been here since the early winter there as far as working the team there and the off-season workouts. Talk about the team, returnees, and things you look forward to if you're a Bulldog fan here in 2014.
We have a bunch of returning players from last year. They've all gone so much better in the spring and the late winter when I got here. We're just excited to get the season started. The players have been coming in all throughout the summer in open gym and been playing, so they're still continuing to get better. We're excited for the new people to come in and get here and start working with them to help make the Bulldog family even better.
I look forward to seeing you there. I know they'll have the exhibition match there in mid-August and hit the road for 4 straight weeks before they come home for several matches there, and then followed by the Mountain West slate there. So go Dogs.
Go Dogs.